Thank you very much, Anya, and also to you, Lorraine, for a very, very interesting presentation. Can I thank you, the parents, for this invitation to be with you. Last year, because of a clash in diaries, I wasn't able to be with you in my first year as Minister for Education, but I wanted to make sure that I would be here today, and I'm delighted to have been here and to have heard the beginning of the proceedings. We all share a common interest, working together so that education can unleash the potential of all of our children. To deliver that promise, we must enhance parental involvement in our education system. Since taking office, I have found your organisation to be of immense value in helping transform our education system. From working to tackle the cost of school books, to finding ways to eliminate the scourge of bullying from our schools, as parents, you have shown an attention to the policy areas that will make a real difference to the lives of our students and parents. Your annual conference is an opportunity for me to acknowledge the role of the Parents' Council at national level as an invaluable advocate for parents and guardians of young people. I have to tell you that I'm encouraged by the theme of your conference today, which is about parental involvement in their children's learning. I have spoken on many occasions about the importance of parents being engaged with their children's learning, and I'm glad that this is the focus of your conference. It's a truism, but let me repeat it. We go to school to learn to read so that we can read to learn. And I've always held the view that parents have a key role in assisting that learning process. The percentage, 14% in Lorraine's paper, of the time that a young person spends in school leaves a vast amount of time for the learning activity at home. Simply seeing parents reading books, simply having newspapers physically around, simply having names of things on different parts of the house and kitchen, etc. All the sort of things that can be done. It is so important. And I'm a passionate advocate of the involvement of parents, and it's been supported now by the percentages displayed, Lorraine, in your paper here today, about the impact that the parents have as against the teacher at age 7, and that naturally declines going through into the second level. Let me move on to something else that is of importance to us at this point in time. I want to speak about the Forum on Patronage and Pluralism. When speaking to the conferences of the teacher unions at Easter this year, I was delighted to announce the publication of the report of the Forum on Patronage and Pluralism in the primary sector. I will outline my response to that report in full on Wednesday next, and I want to say that the National Parents' Council has had a major role to play in this developing story. But today I want to let you know that we will be seeking your help with one particular task. The Programme for Government commits to the preparation of a white paper on the issue of patronage in our primary schools. I want to tell you formally here, and to seek your active engagement and support, that we will be seeking the assistance of the NPC with the preparation of an information leaflet to ensure that parents are involved in the development of the white paper. This is, quite frankly, going to be a once-off, unique period of time, and I really want to maximise, through your organisation, the involvement of parents. And clearly, from the statistics that came out from your recent survey, we need to look better at how, in fact, we are making that engagement effective. Can I move on to the NPC report, the one I've just referred to, and the one that you just presented? I've read with interest the report on the survey the National Parents' Council conducted on parents as partners in education, otherwise known as Circular 24/91. This circular, in its time, was truly a pioneering document and provided guidance to schools in relation to the involvement of parents in their children's education. Rereading it recently, I was struck by the vision that it set for the involvement of parents in their children's schooling. It was very countercultural to what the traditional relationship used to be between schools and parents, and particularly parents coming from lower socioeconomic groups. Since it issued, much has been achieved in the involvement of parents in schools and the education system generally. For example, the 1998 Education Act recognises the contributions parents make in the delivery of education by schools to their children. The role of parents as part of a school's ongoing quality assurance and improvement is recognised through the requirement for boards to establish procedures for informing parents of matters relating to the performance of the school. The Circular and the Education Act laid a foundation for parental involvement. But quite frankly, 15 years later, it is absolutely necessary that we take stock of progress and consider what further can be done. Your survey certainly suggested that some challenges remain for parents, for schools, and indeed for the National Parents' Council. That said, I think we also need to bear in mind other evidence that tends to confirm some, but not all, of the report's findings and conclusions. For example, when conducting the whole school evaluations, the Inspectorate now surveys parents by questionnaire so that parents have an opportunity to share their perspectives on the work of the school. Schools are provided with a copy of the survey results, and where there are difficulties identified, the same schools are advised to work with parents to clarify the issues and to address them. I note that an analysis of parental responses on the survey questionnaire indicates that almost all parents, 98%, strongly agree that the school is a welcoming place, and this is very good news. However, I have to say, I also note that the Inspectorate surveys show that some parents have concerns regarding being invited to contribute their views on school policies and about how effectively parents' associations keep them informed about their work. Your report suggests that legislative change should be considered to strengthen the implementation of the objectives originally set out in Circular 2491. I agree that what we need to do is improve implementation and action on the ground. Certainly, greater guidance to schools may be beneficial, and some of the principles that you have suggested to me will be useful in drafting such guidance. I also believe that self-evaluation is at the heart of effective school improvement, and one of the ingredients essential to improving student and school performance is an involved and well-informed parent. If we are to improve the outcomes from our education system, it is vital that self-evaluation and reporting the outcomes of that evaluation to parents become a normal and more central component of our school system. In the development of genuine partnerships and engagement between pupils, teachers and parents, one of the things that we must be clear about is that these must be based upon mutual respect and trust. A shared objective for schools and parents must be to empower parents with information and support to enable them to become more active partners in a three-way relationship. The guidelines on school self-evaluation, for example, which are the subject of consultation at present, make clear that evidence concerning parental satisfaction with the school should be part of the evidence used by schools to judge their own work. The self-evaluation guidelines also provides a means whereby schools will be able to keep their communities informed about their strengths and about the priorities for development. NPC at primary level can play a significant role in the successful implementation of the school's self-evaluation by including information on this process in their training programmes for parents' associations. Moving on now, I want to refer to something that you already know, and that is the introduction of a new regulatory framework on school admission that commenced last year. I mention it today because the context of that work, my department is now examining the efficiency of Section 28 of the Education Act. I firmly believe that we need to have a fresh look at some aspects of the Education Act of 1998. It is, as has been said earlier, 14 years since its enactment, and we need to take stock now of how its intent has actually worked out on the ground. We certainly need to look at the adequacy of Section 28 of the Act. This, as you know, is about grievances of parents and students. I support the availability of good local mechanisms for dealing with difficulties, complaints and grievances. I believe we need to look now at how a stronger culture of valuing parental involvement at the level of each individual school can be created and sustained. The more we can succeed in that direction and strengthen relationships, the less need there is going to be for grievance procedures, self-evidently. The work underway in the department on a revision to Section 28 will take a wider focus and take account of the recent work that you have done including the report that we've looked at and listened to. I'm certainly open to looking at any new legislative provision that could further develop a culture in schools that welcomes and supports parental involvement. And Lorraine, I want to thank you for your presence here today. I think you've enlightened a lot of us as to where we could possibly go ourselves, and the Scottish path certainly, I think, will help us all in that regard, so thank you very much. Finally, I want to mention the Anti-Bullying Forum held last month that brought together a range of experts, support groups and representatives of the school sector, including parents and students. It provided an opportunity to explore with all the stakeholders how best to tackle bullying in schools and to consider what changes or updating of existing practices and procedures are required to achieve this. This isn't just a phenomenon in primary school, it also is in secondary school. I know that's not your immediate concern, but it is the concern of all of us, and we will want to be looking at not just bullying in schools, but also the 24/7 phenomenon of cyberbullying that accommodates it. We're all informed of the recent controversies that are there, and I'm happy to say that it is expected that guidelines will be issued for schools in relation to how to handle the social media. There's a certain innocence that many people have about the social media. Two things come to mind as expressed to me by someone who's explored as a marketing expert the advertising space of social media, and in his own office he has two kind of slogans that are imprinted on the electronic machines and also in the office generally. The first thing is written across the top of the machine: "This machine has no brain, you have, use it." And the second thing, and it's very relevant to people with teenage children, and myself and my wife and our 17-and-a-half-year-old, is the second thing that Gary Brown said, and that was again a message to all his staff: you cannot un-Google anything. In other words, once it goes into the system, it's there. It's there, and it's something that we all need to know. Once you press delete, doesn't mean that it disappears, it just hides. But prospective employers and all sorts of other people know where to find it, and that's a salutary lesson to all of us. Can I conclude by saying that I'm looking forward to the question and answer session. I want to thank Lorraine on my own behalf for the contribution that you've made to this conference here today, and I think I probably speak for many people in that regard. I want to thank Anya for her presentation and Breed, and to proceed to the next stage. Thank you very much indeed.